Okay, come. Come, come. Come, 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 come. Lai, come. Come, come. Anybody else? Thanks for your concern. Stay in one piece. I just have a statement for you. The speech by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong in the opening the 6th meeting of Parliament, 6th meeting of the 13th Parliament yesterday, is supposed to be Najib administration's latest policy speech on its policy measures and specifics in the pipeline in the next 12 months. But the second Najib administration has less than 5 months to go. And in fact, the 14th general elections is expected in 70 days, before mid-May, before the Pakatan Harapan's Malaysia's 8th Prime Minister designate Anwar Ibrahim is released from Sungai Buloh prison in early June, showing how frightened Najib is of Anwar. The question teasing the media and all MPs is whether the present month-long parliamentary meeting starting yesterday will be allowed to complete its month-long meeting ending on April the 5th, or whether it will be dissolved midway after the Elections Commission had rushed its report and proposals for constituency delineations to the PM for adoption by Parliament. This hide-and-seek game as to when Parliament will be dissolved and whether the present month-long parliamentary meeting will be truncated halfway and Parliament dissolved for the 14th GE is unworthy of a Prime Minister who is confident of support from the people and understand the true meaning of parliamentary democracy. Will the PM give an assurance that there will be no contempt of the Yang di-Pertuan Agong and that Parliament officially opened yesterday will not be dissolved in mid-session for the holding of the 14th GE? Or is Parliament merely the plaything of in the hands of the PM, which clearly is not the intention of the nation's founders who deliberated and agreed on the fundamental principles of the country's constitution? I am very disappointed with the latest policy address prepared by the Najib administration for the opening of Parliament by the Yang di-Pertuan Agong yesterday. Not a word on Malaysia's lowest Transparency International Corruption Perception Index ranking, or Malaysia's ignominy as a global kleptocracy because of one MDB scandal in Najib's government's latest policy speech. It shows that the UMNO and BN has lost its moral compass and forfeited its political legitimacy and credibility. Recently, UMNO ministers, with green light from the PM, carried out a 4-day gratuitous, malicious and savage but baseless attack on Tycoon Robert Koch, alleging that he had funded the DAP to topple the UMNO-BN government, for which UMNO and BN have yet to publicly apologize both to the BN benefactor and the MCA savior, Robert Koch, and to the Malaysian public. It would have benefited the country more if the BN ministers and leaders had learned from Robert Koch, in particular from his memoir published earlier this year, where the tycoon whom I had described as a quintessential Malaysian and a gentleman, Kanini, pinpointed the reasons why Malaysia had lost its way in the last 6 decades, degenerating from a country respected and admired by the world into one which is scorned and held in increasing contempt because they become a shameless global kleptocracy. Come. I will commend the Prime Minister and all cabinet ministers and all UMNO-BN candidates to read Robert Koch's memoir. In fact, compulsory reading material. In particular, Chapter 22 on strength of culture, in final part 7 on in-closing, where he pinpointed 2 factors deciding the rise and fall of nations. Number 1, a nation with moral compass, and number 2, rule of law. Robert Koch said, the leaders must be politician statesmen, willing to put the good of their nations and the people above their individual self-interest. I recall from politicians who politicians who are there for fame and glory or to line their pockets. They're all in the BN, the MCA. True leaders are those who come out of the community and govern to raise the people to greater heights. They're all in the Pakatan Harapan. He said, a moral society cannot be attained through policing. You must begin at the beginning and infuse the young with a strong sense of morality from a young age, both at home and at school. He further said, it is a basic principle of the rule of law that everyone is equal before the law. In China today, we have rule by man. Under the rule of law, even the General Secretary of the Communist Party is not above the law. What about Malaysia? If Malaysia has not lost its moral compass and the rule of law had not deteriorated because of the creeping loss of the independence, impartiality, and professionalism of key national institutions, the Malaysian dream, which had motivated all Malaysians 6 decades ago, would not have been dimmed or seem to have been lost for good, unless and until Malaysia could be saved in the 14th general election. It is indeed a national shame and disgrace that instead of addressing Malaysia's 3 I's, ignominy, infamy, and iniquity of Malaysia as a global kleptocracy, because of the 1MDB scandal, we have a minister in the Najib cabinet openly claiming that the international multi-million-dollar 1MDB money laundering scandal is fake news, embracing 1MDB mastermind Jolo, becoming his defender and apologist in asserting that there is no proof that the billion ringgit economy luxury yacht seized by the Indonesian authorities in Bali last Wednesday belonged to Jolo. This is more shocking, as Jolo had as good as admitted to the ownership of the economy yacht when in his reaction to the yacht's seizure by the Indonesian authorities last Wednesday, the 1MDB mastermind accused the US Department of Justice of global overreach. The Minister of Communications and Multimedia, Saleh Said Kerouac, his defense of Jolo and claimed that there is no proof that the super yacht belonged to 1MD mastermind shocked even erstwhile UMNO veterans and stalwarts like former UMNO ministers Tan Sri Rafidah Aziz and Tan Sri Rais Yatim. In her Facebook, Rafidah asked why the Malaysian authorities had not been able to find 1MDB mastermind Jolo's billion ringgit luxury super yacht, when she herself could spot it while on a diving trip in Thailand. She mocked the equanimity of impotent Malaysian enforcement agencies and rubbish claims from BN leaders that there was no proof that the super yacht belonged to Jolo. Rafidah said the episode was shameful to Malaysia, particularly when other countries involved are taking action against 1MDB linked scandals. And she posted, please, let us not make the world see us as a basket case. We don't deserve to be shamed as we have been. With all the Malaysian kleptocracy scandals, which are being addressed very expeditiously and effectively in the US, Australia, Middle East, Switzerland, Singapore, just to name a few countries. People have been jailed, companies fined, and barred from operating, properties and assets impounded. Even ill-gotten gains have been returned by those who do not want to be linked to this infamous yacht owner. Rafidah's Facebook posting is significant, for this is the first time that a former UMNO stalwart had accepted Malaysia's 3 I's, becoming a kleptocracy. While the Najib government wants Malaysians to believe that the 1MDB scandal and Malaysia being regarded as worldwide as a global kleptocracy were just fake news, Rafidah has accepted that there is a problem of kleptocracy in Malaysia. Rafidah said the silence over the scandals from those in power reminded her of Hans Christian Andersen's short tale of the Emperor's new clothes, where no one dared to admit they actually could not see the clothes the Emperor was supposed to be wearing, and that the Emperor was without any clothes, as they did not want to be regarded as being stupid and unfit for their positions. When Saleh defended his earlier statement, he issued a second statement that there was no evidence that the equanimity is owned by 1MDB linked business person Jolo. Rafidah again took to the Facebook and penned the following eloquent words. It was yesterday. To remind ourselves, she said, never to forget the will of the Almighty. The wrath of the Almighty and the retribution that only He can mete out to those who deserve it. We are only puny humans. The Almighty has the last say. This is the ultimate power. Our conscience should remind us of that power. And never forget, we cannot buy our way into the Almighty's good books. And in the Almighty's books, cash is not king. Cash is king is Najib's famous saying. So Rafidah has said, cash is not king. If only the present ministers, whether from UMNO, MCA, Gerakan and MSC, have a quarter of Rafidah's guts, gumption and forthrightness, Malaysia would not be in such a parlous state today of being shamed as a global kleptocracy. Any questions? If all our MPs are here, we can ask any one of them. Okay.